go, man. Welcome to Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Hey, man. Sorry I missed you guys last week. Bro, man, your boy had a lot of things going on, bro. We've been going through a lot of stuff in my household here lately. And, man, it was hard for me to make time to try to get the pod in. And, yeah, your boy's a father and a husband, man. I had things I had to do. But this episode, we're not going to go over too much what happened in Week 8. Just a few games. Week 8, there wasn't a whole lot of things that were, like, major that I feel like needs to be talked about. So, like, we're not going to recap a whole lot of that. We're going to talk about a couple games that I think are necessary to talk about. But that's all that we're going to do with Week 8. And then we're going to start off with Week 9. That we're at now at the minimum, the halfway point of the NFL season. And the reason why I'm calling it the halfway point is because most teams have now played at least 8 games or 9 games. So now we're very close to that exact halfway point. So, man, that's where we're going to go, and that's what we're going to do. So this episode, we're going to go over a few games from Week 8. We're going to go over the trade deadline deals. We're also going to go over Week 9. As our talking point for this episode, bro, we're going to talk about the grades that I have for each team. I'll explain my grading system for that when we get to that point. But first, let's go ahead and go over the trade deadline deals. One of the trades that we had was the defensive tackle, Kentavius Street, and a 7th round pick going to the Atlanta Falcons. In return, the Atlanta Falcons gave the Philadelphia Eagles a 6th round pick. This trade just helps with a little bit of depth for the Atlanta Falcons, but there isn't a whole lot there. Solid trade for the Falcons. I don't really know what his contract situation is, but he's just going to be a rotation player because Grady Jarrett got hurt and they need to get another D tackle to fill the middle and fill that void. He's not Grady Jarrett. He will not be. It's just another body, so then they can have more depth at that defensive tackle spot. Moving on now to Rasul Douglas and the 5th round pick going to the Buffalo Bills. In return, the Green Bay Packers got a 3rd round pick. That's a great trade for the Packers, actually. Your defense is not living up to what you've been hoping that lives up to the last few years. And right now, your team is not doing as well as you was hoping that they were going to do. So why not get some draft compensation? So then you can maybe trade up, move around, do whatever you got to do to acquire talent. Or even just keep that pick. Don't trade up at all. Don't trade down and just draft another guy to bring on the roster. To bring him in on a rookie contract. So then now you can hopefully have that guy to build for years to come. In the NFL draft picks, especially like 1 through 3, I will say those guys, you're hoping those guys are on your team for the next 5 years. Then when you get into the rounds like 4 through 7, you're just hoping to hit. You're just hoping to hit on somebody, see what happens at that point. So the 3rd round pick is actually a very valuable pick that they got from the Buffalo Bills. For the Buffalo Bills, the purpose of this trade was to try to fill a little bit of a void of Tre'Davious White going down. Man, with him going down, that's just really killed their defense. And the Bills' defense has not been the same since him and Milano both went down. So they're just trying to fill the void just a little bit, try to take some edge off. So I actually think it was a good trade for both teams. Moving on now to Donovan Peoples-Jones going to the Detroit Lions. In return, the Cleveland Browns received a 6th round draft pick. This trade was interesting to me. And the reason why it was interesting was because I don't really feel like Peoples-Jones is necessary for the Detroit Lions because, man, when you already got Jameson Williams and you invested what you have invested in him, meaning a high 1st round draft pick, and plus you had to wait for him because he tore his ACL 2 years ago, so you had to wait for him to come back, and then he got suspended for a few games this year. Like, you're investing a lot in this young man, and you are really hoping that he pans out to be what he is, and him and Donovan Peoples-Jones run a very similar route tree. So I do not really think it was necessary, but also you can't really argue about them getting depth. You can't argue about depth being on the team. They did lose Marvin Jones, but, I mean, they weren't using him. So, I mean, if Peoples-Jones is just replacing Marvin, you really ain't doing nothing. For the Cleveland Browns, I guess, man, hey, you wasn't using Donovan Peoples-Jones, and there's some issues I got with Deshaun Watson. We'll get to that when we get there. But the quick thing I would say is that he's having a really hard time. I feel like he's throwing a lot of balls short. He's having a really hard time getting the ball accurately to his receivers. So maybe you just felt like he wasn't necessary because, hey, we ain't throwing the ball 40 yards deep anyways. So why do we got him? So, I mean, maybe that's what it was. But this trade, I don't really think is a big deal. Moving on now to Azar Cleveland going to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 6th round pick. That's going back to the Minnesota Vikings. I was actually kind of shocked to see the Vikings make this deal, but it also makes sense. I was shocked because they are in a position where they're fighting for a playoff berth, and this is before Kirk Cousins got hurt that this trade takes place. So, like, when you're fighting for a playoff berth, you may want to keep those guys on the roster. But the kicker is that Cleveland had an expiring contract. And their issue is that they know that they're going to have to pay Justin Jefferson. And if you was planning on keeping Kirk Cousins past this year, that's a lot of money that you have now to commit to your quarterback and your wide receiver. So maybe they just was like, hey, we got to cut ties with that guy because we're not going to have the money to keep that guy. And if that's the case, I understand why they did the deal. For the Jacksonville Jaguars to shore up your middle of your offensive line, that's a great thing for them to do, especially the way that ETN's running the football. You get a guy that can help plow, get through the defensive lines to try to open up space for ETN to run. And plus, of course, man, hey, Trevor Lawrence has been back there getting folded, bro. Folded. Props to Trevor Lawrence because he stands in that pocket strong. But boy, that boy been back there getting folded. I mean, folded. So I mean, Cleveland will help. He will help that offensive line, and maybe they can find room to give him a long-term contract because, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I think, still has 2 more years left on this deal. This is his 3rd year. He has his 4th year on his rookie deal, and then he also has a 5th-year option. So, I mean, you, at the very least, are not paying big money to your quarterback for the next 2 years. Same thing with ETN. You don't have to worry about paying him for another two years also. So, with all that being the case, I understand it, and they can also sign him for years to come. So that trade is a good trade for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I understand it for the Minnesota Vikings, and we'll see where it goes from there. Moving on to the next trade that took place was Josh Dobbs going to the Minnesota Vikings. The trade included Josh Dobbs and a 7th-round pick from the Arizona Cardinals, and the Vikings were receiving the Vikings were receiving a 6th-round pick. Giving up a 6th-round pick to the Arizona Cardinals. Josh Dobbs, man, that was actually a really good trade because Kirk Cousins got hurt and you needed somebody to replace him, and you got a quality backup, a very quality backup that Josh Dobbs has proven to be. I understand the deal. It makes sense. I still don't really understand it for the Arizona Cardinals, to be honest. Maybe their attitude was, we're not going to sign him after this year anyway, so why not just get something in return? And if it was that, then I understand. But we'll see where that goes with the Arizona Cardinals. They got a lot of things going on. Moving on to the next game, we got Leonard Williams to the Seattle Seahawks. Next game. Sorry. Moving on to the next trade. We got Leonard Williams going to the Seattle Seahawks. And the Seahawks gave up a 2nd-round pick and a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick to the New York Giants. The New York Giants actually won this trade. They actually won this trade. I think Leonard Williams probably is actually worth a 1st-round pick, but seeing how Seattle has to pay him, they weren't going to get that for him. So for you to get a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick for him, I actually think was very good. Like, it was a very good deal. The New York Giants have already paid Dexter Lawrence, so there was no way you're going to afford to keep both of them. Then you also got to remember Thibodeau is going to come up eventually, and they got other defensive guys that they got to pay as well. And then they also got to make their decision on Saquon Barkley. So I actually understand the deal. I think it was a really good trade for them. And I also think it was a good trade for the Seattle Seahawks. Their defense is solid. The only thing that they've been missing is like a quality guy on the defensive line. Like a Pro Bowl level defensive lineman. So with them getting Leonard Williams, it makes sense. The whole trade makes sense. I think both sides got what they needed. And, hey, that's one of the best deals that you could get done. Moving on to the next trade, we got Montez Sweat going to the Chicago Bears for a 2nd-round pick. So Washington received a 2nd-round pick from Montez Sweat. Bro, I was very shocked, first of all, to see Montez Sweat go. I was not expecting him to get traded. But with him getting traded to the Chicago Bears, it just makes no sense to me. And the reason why it makes no sense to me is because Chicago Bears, you are not in position to make the playoffs. And you're not going to be in position next year to make the playoffs. You guys have a lot of things that you need to build on and see where you guys can get to. So it's best for you to stay cheap and just keep your draft picks and try to hit on draft picks. For you to trade a 2nd-round draft pick to get Montez Sweat, a guy I do like, Montez Sweat got game. He got game, and eventually they ended up giving him a $98 million contract. I just don't think that was smart. I do not think that was smart for the Chicago Bears. Now, I mean, maybe if you see him as a building block, I guess. See him as a veteran leader for the defense, I guess. But like I said, I just don't really like the move. I don't like the move, but they are in a desperate position of needing a pass rush. They have absolutely zero pass rush. They do not get pressure on the quarterback whatsoever. So I can understand their desire to make the deal. For the Washington Commanders, getting the second round pick, it makes sense. I would have did the deal too, because you would have had to pay Sweat and then also just got to not get a second round pick. I understand it. The part I don't understand is this next part. The Chase Young trade going to the 49ers for a third round draft pick. So a lot of you wonder why he only went for a third. So am I. But the reason why he went for a third was because if they would have let him go to free agency, he would have signed a contract somewhere. That team would have had to give them a third round draft pick as compensation for Chase Young. It's part of the union rules. Just trust me on that. I'm not trying to get into all of that. I'm not trying to waste your time. Just trust me on it. If he signed somewhere else, that team would have had to give the Commanders a third round draft pick. And that's why his market was only a third round draft pick. And if nobody else was placing in offers for Chase Young, there was nobody to bid against. So that's why they only end up getting a third round pick. I understand it. But my issue with the Commanders is that once you traded Montez Sweat, who got traded earlier that day, once you traded him, I'm keeping Chase Young. I'm keeping Chase. I'm keeping one of these two talented defensive ends. I'm going to pay them. Pay whichever one I keep, I'm going to pay him. Bro, you got Sam Howell as your quarterback. You're paying him like 5 cents in NFL terms. You're paying no other offensive player truly, except for Terry McLaurin. He's the only guy on that team getting paid. Defensively, you're not really shuffling money all over the place. I just do not understand why you traded both of your defensive ends. Both of your highly talented defensive ends, you traded them because they were in contract years, but you had the money to pay one. Yes, I do know that you got De'Aaron Payne, and then you also have his name left me, another defensive Jonathan Allen. You also got Jonathan Allen. I know that you're paying both of them, but you're not paying nobody else. So why not pay him and have an elite defensive line to build on? Why not? And plus, you're at least 2 years, 3 years away from having to pay your quarterback. It's no rush. You're not paying a running back. You're not paying offensive linemen. Like, you got the money. I just do not understand the deal. And that's where my issues are with the Commanders. But talking about Chase Young going to the San Francisco 49ers, I think it was a great deal for the 49ers. Bro, for you, that's a whole lot of, boy, listen. For you to have Chase Young on one side and Nick Bosa on the other side, Eric Armstead in the middle, and then Javon Hargraves in the middle. Oh, bro, listen, bro. They can stop anything. They can stop a run. They can stop the pass. They got the speed. They got the power. Like, that's a very talented group. Their issue is simply health. And when I talk about health, I'm talking about Nick Bosa and Chase Young. If those two boys are healthy, that's a whole lot of defense coming at people. And the thing is, they could pay Chase Young. They're going to keep Chase Young. He's going to be there past this season. So next year, that defensive line is going to be stupid elite. And the reason why they got the money to pay him is because Fred Warner is not making anything crazy. And offensively, they're pretty much only paying Debo. Like, I mean, you're paying George Kittle, but he's making like tight end money. Tight end money ain't nothing elaborate. And right now, the top paying tight end, I think, is Travis Kelce, and he ain't making nothing crazy. So, like, Kittle can't really push that market up. So, they ain't really paying nobody. You're paying Brock Purdy cents in NFL terms. You're not paying, you are paying Christian McCaffrey. But that's a tricky situation because they don't really owe him a lot of money because the Panthers pay most of that money. So, like, they're not really paying Christian McCaffrey. You look at his salary, yeah, he's getting paid. But a lot of that money's coming from Carolina. That's not coming out of the 49ers' pocket. So, man, that was a terrific trade for the San Francisco 49ers. I do not know why nobody else was, like, fighting to get Chase Young. I would have easily gave up a second-round pick to get Chase Young if I could. But, bro, those are the trades that took place. And the trades that I think are most impactful is Montez Sweat. He will change the pass rush for the Bears. Chase Young, he now makes the rich get richer, which is a big deal. It kind of reminds me a lot of, like, last year when the Philadelphia Eagles got the defensive back from the Saints. I cannot think of his name right now. Please forgive me. He signed with the Detroit Lions, and he actually just changed his name legally. He had 3 names. He had 2 last names, so a first name and 2 last names. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it reminds me of a situation like that. And like once the Eagles got him, like that defense just soared off. And I think that could be the same thing for Chase Young going to the 49ers. And the other trade that I think actually really makes a big difference is Cleveland going to the Jags. Azar Cleveland, that is, going to the Jags, boosting that offensive line. The Jaguars are already having a pretty good season so far. For you to now get more protection, I think that's a big deal. I do think it's a big deal. And I mean, technically, Josh Dobbs is a big deal for the Vikings because you might be in a position with a rookie quarterback that honestly is not that talented. Now, for you to get a Josh Dobbs, a quality backup, a quality guy that you could now start for the rest of the season, hey, man, that's a big deal. Justin Jefferson may actually come back instead of staying out on injury. But, bro, that's our trade deadline talk. And now, bro, we're going to move on to the 3 games that I thought, three games that I thought were important of Week 8. And the first game we're going to talk about is not really important, to be honest. I just want to give an explanation. It's the Kansas City Chiefs loss to the Denver Broncos. I know a lot of y'all are like, bro, how the hell did they lose to the Broncos? The Broncos are an interdivision team. And when you play against interdivision teams, those games get shaky. And every team has a team that they play against where, for whatever reason, that game is always tight. It's always tight. It's never a blowout. And when you're in tight games like that, bro, it could be just one mistake that costs you the game. So, like, for example, when I talk about this kind of thing, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. 2 games they played against the Washington Commanders, and both games they were down. And they had to come back and win those football games. We all know they're way better than the Washington Commanders, but it's just a matter of that they are in the same division. It's a tougher game. Miami Dolphins playing against New England Patriots. Week 2 or week 3, whichever week that was. Man, bro, that final score was 24-17, and the Pats was in that game. They were in that game. The second game, the score, I think, was 17-34, but the Pats were out a few bodies, so that game wasn't going to be the same as it was in the weeks earlier. But that's just my point. My point is just that, bro, when you play those games, those are tough games. Those are tough games. And, hey, eventually that team's going to win one. They're going to win one. And that's what I'm saying for the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, bro, we played at Denver. So you got to add in the Mile High, the air quality. Patrick Mahomes, he had the flu. And on top of that, it was like 25 degrees outside. Bro, I said before the game started, we're losing this game. We're losing this game. Now, they still had a chance to win, but I knew we were losing that game. And it's simply just because interdivision game. Nothing special that the Denver Broncos did. The Chiefs lost because of what the Chiefs did. Dropping the football, dropping touchdown passes, not running your offense accordingly. The defense did play pretty strong, but the offense put them in terrible spots and terrible points. And that's why the Kansas City Chiefs lost that game. Moving on to the next game. Dallas Cowboys destroying the Los Angeles Rams. Bro, that was impressive to me because the Rams, they was getting on a little hot streak, like as far as like their offense and playing the flow of their offense. And the reason why it's impressive is because that defense about Dallas came out there and smacked them boys in the mouth. Smacked them boys in the mouth. And the way that they played, it was just incredible. They dominated the football game. Like, the Rams had no shot. In that entire game, there was no shot at all. And that's what Dallas is supposed to do. Like, if you're supposed to be a contending team, when you play against a team that is not on your level, you're supposed to dominate that team. Dominate them. There's not supposed to be any ounce of hope for that team playing against you. Moving on to the next game, bro, we're going to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals destroying the San Francisco 49ers. And the reason why, first of all, it was an important game because the 49ers were on a 2-game losing streak. Joe Burrow and them coming off the bye. How healthy is Joe Burrow at that point? And plus, it was in San Francisco. So let's see what the Bengals got. Can they finally get that signature win that they haven't got yet this season? And sure enough, they did, bro. They went out there and smacked them boys. Smacked them boys. And the thing that I'm very impressed with is the Bengals defense. The Bengals defense is playing fantastic football. Fantastic football. Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, and those young rookie 2-year safeties that they got back there, they are really coming along. Those boys are coming along, and they are playing great football. They're attacking, they're flying, and they're fast, and they're hitting. And their defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's just mixing up the defenses, putting out multiple different multiple different ways for you to see them. But I'm going to pause on the Bengals because we're going to talk about a lot of this good stuff with them when we talk about their Week 9 matchup against the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to focus right now on the 49ers. The 49ers, bro, they're in bad shape. It's bad shape. That's 3 straight games that you lost. 3 straight games. And bad losses. I mean, the first one against the Cleveland Browns, it was raining. You traveled east. Time zone differences. You just came off a big win against the Cowboys. Trap game situation. And Brock Purdy did lead a game-winning drive, but the kicker missed the field goal. So, I could understand that situation. I will let that loss go. But, man, against Minnesota, that was awful. By Brock Purdy, that was awful. Bad. Turning the ball over left and right. Did not play well at all. He ended up coming out saying that he had a concussion. I believe him. But for you to now force yourself to be ready for the upcoming week, bro, you got to show up, you got to play. And against the Cincinnati Bengals, he did not show up and play. He did not show up not well. I mean, you look at his numbers, you're like, oh, bro, he had 365 and blah, 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 blah. I don't care about the stats. You know why he had 365? Because they was getting dusted. That's why he had 365. They had to throw the ball all game to try to come back. That's why that boy had 365. It wasn't no quality 365. The boy was getting smoked and he had to try to chase. That's why. But also talking about chasing, there's a reason why he had to chase, because the defense wasn't doing nothing against Joe Burrow and the boys. And that's why they went and got Chase Young. They're depending on their defensive line, their pass rush to be able to affect the games in a tremendous way, because their secondary is not the greatest secondary. It's solid. It's probably average. I would say their secondary is average. You got a great middle linebacker play from Fred Warner. They're kind of depending on Fred Warner to really help out that secondary, which he does. Fred Warner is an absolute dog. But the pass rush is supposed to be what helps everything on that team. Kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles last year, bro. When they got 70 sacks for the season, that was ridiculous. I want to say that was an NFL record for a season. That's including the postseason. And when you get to do that, your defensive backs don't have to hold up as long. They do not have to hold up as long. So now with this situation, that's what the 49ers were hoping for. And in the situation that the defensive line is putting those secondary players in, the secondary is not built for that. And that's why they went and got Chase Young. But offensively, though, they're showing also that they need Deebo Samuel back badly. And they're also showing that Trent Williams is the most important player on that offense. By far in that offense. Because, bro, that left side, it was bad. It was bad. They were getting to Brock Purdy like that. Trey Hendricks and Sam Hubbard, they were getting there, smacking him all over the place. Brought him all upside his head in that game. So, I mean, they really need Trent Williams back. I mean, so they're coming off their bye week for week 10, and they should, I'm assuming that they're going to have Trent Williams back. I'm assuming Deebo will be back then, and they should be up and rock and rolling. They got a good test for this upcoming week. We'll get into that later. But the 49ers, bro, they better bring it and they better step it up. You on a 3-game losing streak, that's not a good sign. That is not a good sign. That's all we're going to talk about for week 8, because I really would like to get into week 9 and get back on track of what's actually going on in the league today. So going into week 9, we're going to start off now with our play clock segment. And in this play clock segment, bro, we're going to go over these games that I have in this Pacific segment. And for those of you that are just now joining for the first time, our play clock segment is just a quick review over these games that I put in this segment. We're only going to spend a maximum of 40 seconds on it. That's why we're calling it the play clock segment, the same exact time that an NFL play clock is. So first again, what we're going to talk about is the Tennessee Titans at the Pittsburgh Steelers. This happened last Thursday night. This was Will Levis's first true start. Yeah, I know he started against Atlanta. I'm not really counting that because they were doing the whole quarterback swapping thing or whatever. But this is his first true start. A little bit of film on him, all that kind of stuff. Now, honestly, bro, he played well. He played really good. He's by far the best quarterback on the Tennessee Titans roster. I'm not going to say I was wrong on him yet. I was not a big fan of his coming out, but he's proven so far in these first couple of games that there could be something there. There could be something there. So I think they're doing the right thing by sticking with him for the rest of the season, rolling with him. It opens up the field for Derrick Henry now to not see 8-man box because you got to be concerned about a deep bomb. So good news for the Titans. For the Steelers, bro, y'all just keep doing Mike Tomlin stuff. Just keep doing what you're doing, bro. Somehow y'all winning games. I don't know how y'all winning games. Y'all are not the better team whatsoever, but you guys are more disciplined. You're better coached, and that works for you guys, and y'all winning games. Keep doing your thing. But Kenny Pickett, you better step it up. And George Pickens, bro, you got to get that mind right, bro. You got to get the mind right. That's why you wasn't playing in Georgia. Moving on to the next game. The Los Angeles Rams at the Green Bay Packers. Honestly, bro, to be real with you, I didn't watch much of this game. I was not interested at all. Once Matt Stafford was out, I didn't really care about it because I knew that the Rams offense was going to be completely trash. But for the Packers, like, for you to win this game, it was like a struggling 20. And that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. So the real question is just the question that we have every week. What is Jordan Love? And so far, bro, it is not looking good for him. It's not looking good for him. And I would not be surprised that if they had an opportunity, they may draft a quarterback in this upcoming draft. Moving on to the next game, we got the Washington Commanders at the New England Patriots. And the Commanders, bro, they had a good running game this game, and they did all right. They did some good things. But, I mean, this game is just blah. It's just a blah game. New England's trash. The only thing I really got to say is I think it's time that New England lets Bill Belichick go. Let him go. Get a real GM in there. Get a new head coach. And let's move forward. That's what I think they should do. Go ahead and keep Mac Jones. Don't give up on him just yet. Unless, of course, you get like a top pick. But, I mean, if you are falling like around like pick 5, don't reach for a quarterback. Keep him and just go ahead and start the new regime and just get a different player. Moving on to the next game, we're going to talk about the Chicago Bears at the New Orleans Saints. We all knew the Saints were going to win this game. Saints, you did a good job winning the game, but defensively, I'm just so disappointed in the New Orleans Saints. Bro, you went against a Division II backup quarterback and let up 17 points. You guys only won by a touchdown? You guys are better than that. You're better than that. Marcus Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu, Cam Jordan. Like, bro, you guys should have dominated that football game. And the reason why it's an issue for me is because you're not going to win games playing like that. You guys should be a 11 to 12 win team on paper, and you guys do not play like that. So we'll see what they do, but they got a lot of things they got to turn around. Moving on to the next game, we're going to talk about the New York Giants at the Las Vegas Raiders. Daniel Jones came back. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL. I do not root for anyone to get hurt. I may not be a fan of his, but I would never root for someone to get hurt. But this game, I mean, hey, Antonio Pierce came. He took over. Josh McDaniels got fired. I will call for his job. He was trash. He was trash. He should have never got the job in the first place. It was a terrible hire. We saw what happened in Denver. I don't know why the hell Las Vegas thought that was going to be any different there. And then especially after how he did Derek Carr, you should have fired him on the spot. But anyways, you saw a new life with Antonio Pierce for leading the charge. You saw the offense more physical. A.J. McConnell showed that he may have more talent. Well, he does have more talent than Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's understandable. It makes sense. Devontae Adams, he will get back going with Adrian O'Connell because he will get the ball down the field to him. For the New York Giants, like, hey, it's actually a good thing for you guys. Draft you a quarterback, let Daniel Jones just go ahead and be like a vet. Cut him after next season because you gotta weigh out of his new contract after next year. Moving on to the next games. We got the Indianapolis Colts at the Carolina Panthers. Colts, good job, good dub. Jonathan Taylor, it's nice to see you continue getting going. You're looking better and better every week, just like I already said you would. I said next week, that will be the last week of this ramp-up period, and then I think he's taking off. But I want to focus on the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, that was not good. That was not good at all. I did not believe Bryce Young should have been the number 1 overall draft pick. I did not think he was as good as people said that he was. I think he was just like one of the best athletes on the field when he was in college. I do not, and because of that, it allowed him to get out of a lot of situations. Then a lot of situations that he got trapped in. But I do think there's some talent there. I'm not trying to say I think he's a bum. I do not think he's a bum. I think he got drafted to a bad situation. He got put in a bad spot, and he's not good enough to overcome all that stuff. Moving on to the next game. We got the Los Angeles Chargers at the New York Jets. Chargers did what they were kind of supposed to do. Kind of. The defense balled out, man. The defense did their thing. They killed those defensive ends that they're paying big money to, took advantage of the tackles of the New York Jets. They knew that they could not handle that rush. And they knew that Zach Wilson would not be able to handle the pressure, which he absolutely did not. I mean, granted, the offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, was not calling plays that was suitable when you're asking Zach Wilson to do a 7-step drop when you know that your tackles are not playing good football, when you're asking your receivers to run a lot of deep routes where now he has to hold the ball to wait for someone to get open, that's not going to be a good plan for him. And with that being the case, like, you're putting Zach Wilson in very undesirable situations. And that's what showed. He fumbled. He threw, I want to say he threw at least one interception. It was just a bad showing. And for the Jets, you cannot give up the special teams play, because that's the only way y'all got to win is if your defense shuts out the opponent. That's the only way. For the Chargers offense, y'all got to play better, man. Y'all got to play better. That's all I'm really going to say, because y'all played against the Jets. That is a good defense, but you guys got to be better. Moving on to the next game, we got the Arizona Cardinals at the Cleveland Browns. There really ain't a whole lot to talk about this game. The only thing I want to talk about is Deshaun Watson. And just real quick, I just have a lot of issues with how he's playing, even his attitude. I got issues with how he's playing because he's throwing a lot of balls short, throwing a lot of balls into the dirt. He's not reading the defense very well. Yeah, I know a lot of you are going to bring up the one bomb that he had to Amari Cooper. That was a great pass. That was vintage Deshaun Watson. And I hope that he can one day get back to that, but right now he's not that. Right now you may see some flashes of it here and there, but that's more like, that's something I expect from like Aaron Rodgers, where like you see flashes, meaning like it's an old guy. Bro, he's not old. He's not supposed to be in that range of just flashes. That's not supposed to be the range. He's supposed to be able to do this every week, and he's not. The one thing that he is doing great, he's scrambling terrifically. I think they need to put more of that in the offense. I also do think that they need to do a lot more play action rollouts. Then stop having him in the pocket. He's really struggling from the pocket. Get him on the sidelines. But he just got to make better decisions, and that's all I really got to say about this game. Moving on to now the important games of Week 9. Man, the important games of Week 9, I thought, man, honestly, Week 9 was just a very good week of football. But these are some games I thought separated from the rest of them. And one of the games I'm going to bring up, and it's not, well, it was actually a very important game for standing purposes. So, yeah, we could call it that, was the Minnesota Vikings at the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons blew this game. Taylor Heinicke did not play good. He did not play well. There's a lot of things that he could do better, but I also think that he will. He would do better at a lot of these things. You got to remember, this is his first start. This is his first year under Arthur Smith. So we'll see how things go. But my issue is with Arthur Smith. I'm telling you guys, something's not right here. I don't know what it is, but something's not right. I don't know if it's the coach has an issue with the GM or the GM has an issue with a coach, but these two guys are not aligned. They are not aligned. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because you do not deliberately not use Kyle Pitts. You do not deliberately not use Bijan Robinson. But better yet, look at the guys that he is using. Remember where Arthur Smith came from. He came from Tennessee. His tight end in Tennessee was Jonnu Smith. Who is he using? Jonnu Smith. His running back was Derrick Henry. What running back is he truly using? Tyler Algier. Similar body type, like similar running style. I'm not going to say body type. Similar running style. He has a certain way of that he wants this offense to look, and the players that the Atlanta Falcons are drafting do not fit, I think, what he likes. So he's not really putting it all into them because he doesn't believe that they can run it that way. And which, don't get me wrong, like Bijan can't run it that way. If you ask him to run that way, he is going to get hurt. But if you ask him to just run like Bijan, he will be one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL. That's all that you have to do. Kyle Pitts, he cannot do what Jonnu Smith does. Meaning being an inline blocker, being able to flank out, being able to read defenses the way Jonnu's reading them. Yeah, he can't do that. But if you use him the way that he can be used, use him the way that the Oakland Raiders at the time were using Darren Waller, he could do that. He could do that. And Darren Waller became the third best tight end in the league for about a solid 2 to 3 years because of how they were using him. Using him as a big split out wide receiver, having him run a lot of routes. You ask him to come in line and block here and there, but that's nothing that he's just living in. Like, these guys can be used, and I think Arthur Smith knows how to use them. He just deliberately refuses to. And when you refuse to use them, the issue is that you're not using the players at their fullest capacity. And when you're not using them at their full capacity, when I am a defense, if I was a head coach and I'm coaching against the Atlanta Falcons, I don't care about a mismatch with Kyle Pitts. I'm gonna put a nickel corner on him. Because I know he's not going to block. I know that you're not going to run the ball his way. So I'm just going to put a nickel corner on him. And so what if he goes deep? You're not going to throw it. You're not going to throw it. I don't have the double. Like, and that's just coming from your mentality. With Bijan, like, I don't have to devote my defense to like, okay, hey, we got to get a lot of speed out there, da-da-da-da-da. Nah, I just leave power out there. I just leave a powerful defense out there because you either going to make Bijan run a trap or you're going to take him out and let Tyler Allgeier run the trap. It's going to be one or the other. But you're not going to use him at his fullest capacity. And now that also is going to hurt your offensive line. It's going to hurt your quarterback and so on and so forth. So that's my issue with Arthur Smith. I'm not saying that he's the one that needs to be fired. I'm just saying whatever this thing is, this friction between the GM and Arthur Smith, I don't care what they say. Y'all are not seeing the game the same way. Whatever that friction is, y'all need to solve it. But going to the Minnesota Vikings, man, great game by the Minnesota Vikings. They played well. I will say they should have lost. The Atlanta Falcons lost this game. But, man, Josh Dobbs, kudos to you, bro. You had a rough start in this game because, hey, understandably so, that you just showed up. Literally just showed up. He never took a first-team rep, never took a rep at all. He did not know the players' names. Like, he sincerely had no idea what was going on. He just went out there and just played. And first of all, it shows off to your intelligence. This man literally could be an engineer. He was, like, studying for NASA or something crazy like that. So, I mean, it shows his intelligence to be able to pick up a playbook well enough that within like 3 to 4 days to be able to go out there and run an offense in a regular season football game. Man, that's incredible. But also to be able to get the ball to the guys that you need to get the ball to and make the plays when it's time to make plays. Kudos to you, bro. You played a really good game. No hate at all. Honestly, right now, my heart, you're one of my favorite players right now, bro, because you got that. You got that juice, and I appreciate it. He's not a starter. He's not a starter at all. He's a high-quality backup. But, man, I would love to have him on my team. Moving on to the next game, bro, we're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Houston Texans. This was a big game for the Buccaneers because this was their chance to get back into the race of the NFC South. But this was more of a big game for the Houston Texans. It's more so a big game for them because of what they showed in that game, specifically what C.J. Stroud showed. But before we get to that point, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First of all, I want to talk about Baker Mayfield, bro. He's playing really good football. Really, really good football. A lot of y'all are stuck in what happened in Cleveland that like last year or two. Don't pay that no attention. That's a bad organization, as we are seeing once again, trying to maintain a quarterback. But, bro, man, you look at what he's doing this year, bro. He's actually playing really well. Really, really well. I actually personally think that Tampa should stay with him. I do not think he's a problem. I think the problem with them is that the offensive line is garbage. And honestly, that's really about it. The offensive line is so bad that it's hindering the entire team. Because you have no run game. Your quarterback is always scrambling. Your quarterback's always trying to make plays. But they're losing every game by like a touchdown or less. So now when you give him an actual run game, now the defense can stay on the sideline, get more breaths, get more breathers, so on and so forth. So now when they come back out there, the drive was able to maintain for a few minutes. Now the defense is well rested and ready to rock and roll. So I personally think that Tampa Bay is not that far away. Stay with Baker and just keep building on that. And with White, though, he played good. White played well in this game. The Tampa Bay running back, he played well in this game. It actually was the best game I've ever seen him play. He made a lot of very good cuts. He was a great safety blanket, and they did a great job. He did a great job. He showed me that he can be the running back of the future there. He had the opportunity. Now, of course, you may be able to find somebody better, and if you can, go get that. But with a better offensive line, he may be a really good running back. And I could understand why last year they were like really going back and forth between Leonard Fournette and him. I can see it now. I can see it. I could not see it all last year. But, hey, White, good job to you both. Salute. You had a really good game. Also, Baker, just want to tell you, great game-winning drive. Y'all did not lose that game because of you. But that was a great game-winning drive. Now I want to talk about the Houston Texans. Let's talk about the ugly first. The ugly is their running game is non-existent. It's awful. It's awful. Granted, they went against one of the teams that I think is best built to stop the run in Tampa Bay with two sideline-to-sideline linebackers in Levante David and Devin White. And then also when you got Vita Vea controlling the middle. And then you got Shaq Barrett on one side and young brother, he's number 9. I cannot think of his last name right now. He has 2 last names on the opposite side. Like, those some big boys. Hey, it's going to be hard to run the football on them. But, bro, y'all got to do better than, like, what they got. I want to say they barely had, like, 50 yards rushing this game. You got to get better than that. You got to get better than that. And you got to commit to it. You got to commit to it. I think the most rushing attempts they have for the team, I think Devin Singletary had maybe 8 carries. You got to commit to the run game a little bit more. That will open up the play action passes and things of that nature. So that's my only real issue with them. Now let's get to the good news. And the good news is that boy CJ Stroud. Boy, listen, he's a dog. That boy's a dog. Hey, y'all know at the beginning of the year when we did the preview episodes, I said it that day. I thought CJ Stroud should have won number 1 overall. I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. And I'm right. I'm just going to say it like that. I'm right. He is. He was the best quarterback in the draft. Right now, bro, he's playing top 10 quarterback football. Easily top 10 to me. I mean, what? Let's count it down real quick. You got Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Allen. Josh Allen. Maybe Jalen Hurts. Throw Dak Prescott in there. I don't care. Throw Justin Herbert in there. That's fine. Even throw Tua in there. Like, who else? Maybe, okay, Jared Goff, throw him in there. But outside of those 8, like, now we're getting to a point. You could throw Dak in there. That's 9. But we're getting to a point now with Jared Goff, Dak, Tua. Like, you getting to a point now where, like, this guy might be better than them already. And to me, he's better than some of them. Now, I'm not saying Tua, but he's better than some of them. And I would love to have him leading my football team if I was not a Kansas City Chief fan. My 3 favorite quarterbacks in the NFL right now is probably actually 4 favorites. It's Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and I love me some CJ Stroud. This boy got game. And like I said earlier on one of these weeks, I forget exactly what week it was, but I remember telling you guys that he's playing the best quarterback play as far as structure goes. I mean, this boy's structure in the play call and the timing is immaculate right now. This dude is 1, 2, 3, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom. And when it's time to roll out, when it's time to make a play, he's able to do it, but he's doing it on rhythm, on time, on flow of the offense. Bro, remember the wide receivers he's out here with. He's out here with Nico Collins, Noah Brown, I believe is his name, Tank Dell, Jonathan Mechie. Like, there's no stud there. And the boy still threw for a hell of yards and 5 tutties. 5 tutties. And he's only thrown 1 pick all season. He's showcasing his talent. He's showcasing his smarts. He's showcasing his progression. He's showcasing his understanding of the offense. Like this, and he's not a threat. He's not turnover prone whatsoever. This dude is elite. Already. He's already elite. I'm telling you now, the Houston Texans are on their way and on their way fast. Very, very fast. I told you like week 1, week 2, watch this team. And this is why I was saying watch this team. Because that defensive pass rush is also building up on the defensive end. Houston Texans, I'm telling you guys, bro, for the next 2 years, they could really be the best team in the AFC South. And the reason why I say could is because I'm trying to give respect to the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. But, bro, I really like the Houston Texans and what they got going on. Moving on to the next game. The Seattle Seahawks at the Baltimore Ravens. This was a big game. This game is reminiscent of Detroit Lions coming to the Baltimore. And the reason why I say that is because like the Detroit Lions was looking for a signature win. We saw that game. We was like, this is where they could prove what they are. And they went there, and let's just keep it 100. They got their ass kicked in that game. They did. And with that being the case, that none of us look at Detroit the same. We could put them in their slot like, okay, they're a good team, but we're not expecting them to make it to the Super Bowl. That's how we're looking at them. Seattle had a chance to show that they could have command in the NFC West. They were the top team in the NFC West going into this week because of the 3 straight losses of the San Francisco 49ers. You had an opportunity to showcase what you are. And guess what, boy? You did. That offense showed that they are trash. The Seattle offense is not good. It's not good at all. Geno Smith is not playing nowhere near as well as he played last week. DK Metcalf, I have some issues with DK. He's a great talent. But, like, bro, when you caught that one ball, I forget what quarter it was in. It was either in the first or second quarter. He caught a ball. He has like a 40-yard reception. But he caught it on a deep dig. And then he's taking off. He's in stride, too. Big boy just moving, getting it. And, bro, the boy ran out of bounds. You ran out of bounds? Bro, you're like 240. He had two defenders. There was two just secondary players, so two little skinny guys. And he had one blocker with him. The blocker was already engaged. He had one guy to beat. I'm telling you now, because of the angle, because of the approach, he wasn't going to score a touchdown on that play. I know that. It's about what's in here. It's about the heart. And, bro, for you to run out of bounds, I'm not saying he's scared. I'm not saying none of that. I'm talking about mentality. His mentality. You should have easily lowered that shoulder, put that dent in his chest. You would have fell forward at least 5 more yards. Because that boy was not going to get you down easily. That was not going to happen. Like I say, he wasn't going to score a touchdown because of the angle and things of that nature. I'm thinking just more of the mentality. And the reason why that mentality matters to me is because you have all the physical attributes to be a star wide receiver. But because you don't have that dominant presence, you can't get there. You can't get there. That's why we don't see him being a 14,000-yard wide receiver, 16,000-yard wide receiver, 18,000-yard wide receiver. That's the difference between him and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown lowers that shoulder. A.J. Brown gets that ball. A.J. Brown, he's getting every yard that he can. That's the difference, the mentality. And the offensive line is trash. The offensive line is not good at all. Kenny Walker, I actually think he is a solid football player. Don't think he's great, but I don't think he's bad. I think he's above average at the running back position. Noah Fant, he is a solid player. They just don't use the tight ends there in Seattle. And the defense, I actually love the defense, the Seattle Seahawks defense. They were put in a bad situation, just like the Cleveland Browns were put in against like the Indianapolis Colts against the Baltimore Ravens earlier this year. Bro, when your defense is playing so bad, putting you in so many bad positions, the offense is going to score points. It's just that plain and simple. But the biggest issue to me with their offense, though, talking about Seattle, hate to revert back, but I am, is that Geno Smith just takes sacks. He's just taking sacks this year. Throw the ball out. Throw the ball out of bounds. Like, get it out your hands. Stop taking these sacks because that's what's putting them into bad situations. Baltimore offense, though, hey, you're dominant. You're dominant, and you're showcasing that you can win any way that you want to. Any way that you want to. Hey, y'all want to throw this game? Shoot, we can throw. Y'all want to run this game? Shoot, we can run. Like, it don't matter to us. And right now, Baltimore, you're the best team in football. Moving on to the next game. And actually, these next 3 games that we're going to talk about, like I said, it was a hell of a football week. These 3 games are the games of the week. So, bro, we're going to get into these. In the first game, we're going to start with the Buffalo Bills at the Cincinnati Bengals. First of all, I mean, the Buffalo Bills offense is just awful. The offense is just awful, which is crazy to say because I know they got Josh Allen, but it is not a good offense whatsoever. They solely depend on Josh Allen. Josh Allen has to do everything once again. They refuse to run the football. They refuse to try to establish any type of running game. They refuse to get the running backs involved. And when you refuse to do that kind of stuff, you become a very predictable offense, and that's what happened. And so what did the Cincinnati Bengals do? They blitzed him. Creative blitzes coming off the edge, coming through the middle, and all those kind of things, which causes Josh Allen not to have to scramble and try to do these Josh Allen things. And when Josh Allen's trying to do all of that, it does not normally end well in big games. He's usually throwing picks, he's fumbling, things of that nature. And he took a lot of hits in this game. It was just the last thing that you want for Josh Allen because he's already playing with a bum shoulder. I mean, the Bills are just not in a good place. And Josh Allen isn't comfortable. And Stephon Diggs isn't comfortable. Nobody's comfortable on that offense. Now, I did like what I saw from Dalton Kincaid. And when I talk about Stephon Diggs, it's more of just a mentality. Like, his mentality is that he wants to win, he wants to eat. But, like, you don't want to see, when he's fired up on the sideline in terms of, like, angry, that means they're losing. That means that they're losing. That's the only time he acts like that. When they're winning, you never see him act like that. He could have 2 catches for 14 yards. He would not act like that. But when they're losing, that's an entirely different story. So, man, that's not a good sign at all. In the defense, man, no fault to the defense truly for me. It's just another year of the Buffalo Bills. Injuries defensively. Without Milano in the middle without Tavarius White, with Von Miller another year older, coming off a torn ACL. Micah Hyde, it feels like he gets hurt every other play. Like, bro, there's only so much you could do. There's only so much you could do. And also, you lost Tremaine Edmonds last year, your middle linebacker. They're just in a bad place, man. They're in a bad place, so their defense isn't going to show up very well. But, man, the Cincinnati Bengals offense, they're back. Them boys are back. I will say I was wrong. I was wrong in talking about that. Like, there's no way that you get healthier throughout the season. Joe Burrow has actually gotten healthier. Now, I did always say, though, if he is healthy, then they are an elite offense. And right now he is healthy, and he's playing good. Keep an eye on him, though. I still am very scared about that calf strain. If you watched that game last week, they were still putting a heating pad on it. So, therefore, what that tells me that it's not gone. And I don't think it's going to go away at all. It's a matter of how can he maintain it and take care of it. And so far, he's obviously maintaining it well and taking care of it well. I love seeing him scrambling. I love seeing him move. Like I said, I'm a big Joe Burrow guy. If Patrick Mahomes wasn't my quarterback, I want Joe Burrow. That's how much I love him. Jamar Chase, though, unfortunately, he got beat up in this game. But I think he'll be fine. I mean, you did notice that he wasn't the same after the hit. But obviously, he got through the whole game. So I do not anticipate him missing any weeks. He will be fine. And Joe Mixon, he's looking really, really good. Joe Mixon's looking fantastic. He's looking fast. He's looking lean. And the offensive line is actually really creating holes. Orlando Brown is really helping the run blocking of that team. So the Bengals are in good shape. And right now, man, they're looking like the Cincinnati Bengals that we've seen the last couple years. And just like we talked about with their defense already, talking about them against the 49ers, same thing in this game. The defense was outstanding. The defensive line is playing great. And they're getting pressure on the quarterback without having to send too much help, which means that they have guys in the secondary to actually defend the pass. Moving on now to the Miami Dolphins at the Kansas City Chiefs. This really wasn't at the Kansas City Chiefs. It really was in Germany. Tell the two halves. The Chiefs won the first half. The Dolphins won the second half. But more importantly, bro, honestly, both teams did not play well to me. Neither team played a good football game. And I do think that the flight to Germany had a lot to do with it. But the best units on the field was their defensive units. Miami's defense was good. They were good in this game. They let up plays early. But, I mean, they only let up 14 points. You got to remember yes, the final score was 21-14, but you got to remember that Trent McDuffie forced a fumble. The Chiefs picked it up, scoop and skull. I mean, they did the little lateral and it got loose. But, I mean, the Chiefs got that touchdown. That's what ended up being the deciding factor of the football game. But I have a lot of issues with both offenses. With Miami, what's being shown is that without teams falling for the gimmicky offense, you guys struggle. You struggle. The good defenses that they have played against, what they've done is just stay in zone. They don't fall for any other movement or anything else like that. Which what that tells me is that actually Tua's having a hard time deciphering what kind of defense that you're in. Because if you are truly comfortable with what you're seeing and what you're doing, like the point of motion is to try to find out what the defense is in. So when you get the motion coming, so if you can send a Tyreek Hill in motion, his guy follows him, that means that they're in man-to-man. Which means likelihood is there's possibly a blitz coming or you're just going man-to-man straight up. That's what's happening. But when Tyreek Hill goes in motion and nobody moves with him, that tells me that you're in zone. And the likelihood is the zone that you're trying to run is usually cover 2. But in the NFL, the zone coverage is a lot different. Some teams will run cover 2 on one half and cover 4 on the other half, or run cover 2 on one half and cover 6 on the other half, or so on and so forth. They just mix up both halves of the field, so sometimes it can become rough for a quarterback to decipher what's happening, because now he's trying to figure out two sides of the field instead of just trying to look at the safeties. Because typically you'll look at the safeties and they will tell you what's happening. When you see both safeties drop back, cover 2. When you see one safety drop back and the other one drop forward, it's either going to be cover 3 or cover 1. If it's cover 1, that means that everybody's in man-to-man. If it's cover 3, that means the corner got 1/3, this corner got the other third, and the safety's in the middle. When you got cover 4, both of the safeties drop back, both corners drop back, so on and so forth. And actually, I'm sorry, cover 6 is actually cover 2 and 4 combined. Talking about the halves. That's what cover 6 is. So with that being the case, he's having a hard time deciphering that. And the reason why he's deciphering that is because the defense is not tilting their cap to what's taking place. So that's the issue. So Tua's having a lot of issues reading defenses, which also tells me that he's having issues progressing when he's through his progressions, which tells me why Waddle is not getting the ball much at all, because he can't get from 1 to 2 very quickly. And also he can't get there because also the offensive line is not playing good football. I'm sick of talking about injuries. We're done talking about injuries at this point in the season. Unless it's something major that takes place. Guys like, I can't think of the left tackle's name. I want to say his name is Armstead. Teron Armstead, I believe. Guys like him, bro, he gets hurt every year. We're done talking about him getting hurt. Y'all should come in the season expecting this man to be hurt at this point. So, like, I don't want to talk about that. Your offensive line is not good. So when a team has a defensive line that could put pressure on Tua, your game is done. Your game is done. And also your run game, the only thing you can do is run to the outside. All you got is outside zones. That's all you got. Outside zones and outside traps. That's all you got. You have nothing in the middle, which makes you a very predictable offense, and that's what's slowing down the offense. Now, for the Kansas City Chiefs, you got to run the football. This was terrible clock management also by Andy Reid. Absolutely terrible. 3rd and 20. Why the hell are we trying to pass the football? That's why Patrick Mahomes fumbled. We should just ran the ball, kick it away. The score would still been 7-21. The Miami Dolphins that only had one good drive, like that would make a lot more sense. No, instead we're going to try to convert 3rd and 20 like we completed a 20-yard pass all season. Makes no sense. No sense at all. Run the ball. Then at the end of the game, when it's 3rd down or whatever it was, when we had a chance to close the game without even giving Miami another chance to get the ball back, blew that. You know why? Because we tried to throw the ball to Travis Kelce on 3rd and 1. They've triple teamed Travis Kelce all day. Well, why the hell you think they're not going to do it now? That pass was not going to be there. Run the ball with Pac, get the 1st down. Game's over. Like, I do not understand what was taking place. I have no idea. Now, also reverting back to Tua, because now I'm going down the game log. That final drive, that's on you, bro. That's on you. You cannot short throw that touchdown pass to Cedric Wilson. That should have been an easy touchdown. Then you cannot get spooked because you see an all-out blitz coming. I don't care whose fault it was between you and the center. One of y'all got spooked. Y'all saw them boys walk up to that offensive line, and y'all was like, oh, my God. And that's exactly what happened. You got spooked. You fumbled the snap, and game over. Terrible way also to see a great game end. But both teams need to work on their offense. I think the Miami Dolphins should incorporate more traditional sets, because I think that would help calm down things a little bit. It'll help reel things back in. Sometimes, bro, you need that. Hey, all of us have cell phones. All of us have cell phones. But we all do know, hey, bro, if a girl texts you, and for ladies that if you're watching, if a man texts you, it doesn't matter. If a woman texts you or a man texts you, whatever you prefer, if they text you and send you like a little love text message, that's cool. But if that girl wrote you a letter, like back when you was in high school, or that boy wrote you a letter back like you was in high school, but that touched your soul a little different. It did a little different thing. It's not that the new thing ain't good. The new thing's still good. It's just sometimes, bro, it's nice to get back to the old stuff. Sometimes it's nice. Think about it now. Why do we go to the movie theaters? We got the movie theater at home at this point. All you got to do is jump on Disney Plus and all that kind of stuff. Hell, you can rent the movies earlier. All that kind of stuff on digital. But, man, hey, we still go to movie theaters. It's a different vibe. It's a different vibe. And that's what I'm saying for the Miami Dolphins offense, bro. Sometimes, man, just get in a normal shotgun set. Sometimes, bro, just run an inside zone. Run an inside trap. We don't need all the creative stuff every single play. Not every single play. Sometimes, bro, just get the 3 yards and stop trying to get the touchdown on every damn play. Moving on to the next game. We got the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Cowboys defense is elite. They play very well in this football game. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up was because I feel like they've been struggling since Trayvon Diggs has been gone. But, bro, these last 2 weeks, they've been fantastic defensively. Fantastic defensively. And Blaine, I believe his name is, the corner that stepped up for Diggs. He's filling in that role actually really well. Really, really well. So I'm actually very impressed with their defense. And I think that still gives you guys a chance to be a true contender in this league. But the reason why you lost this game was simple, bro. You lost because of your right tackle. Still was garbage. He got whooped. in this game. He got whooped in this game. He got man up and accept that, and you got to do better next time. Hey, it happens to guys every week. Hey, I remember back when Taylor Lewan was playing for the Tennessee Titans. I mean, now his situation was different. He was coming back from, I think, a torn ACL. And it was his first game back. But, man, I remember that first game. This is an all-pro left tackle we talking about, bro. He got whooped by Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones had like 6 sacks in that game. Something wild. Lost his natural-born mind against Taylor Lewan. So I'm not saying still that you're trash. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, bro, you got to man up, suck up this moment, bro. You got whooped in this game. And you got to be better than that. But the run game has to get going. Like, Mike McCarthy promises the run game was going to be more of a factor, and it's not a factor at all. At all. That's not good. That's not good. You got to get the run game going, because when you get that going, now you become a multiple offense, and right now you're not multiple whatsoever. Right now you're only dependent on Dak and CeeDee Lamb. That's the only way that you're making plays. Now, kudos to Dak and CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb played a fantastic game. Fantastic game. I have not really seen him play better. I love what I'm also seeing from Ferguson. I think they need to get him more involved. To be honest, I think that is probably their second best receiving threat right now on their team, because they just refuse to use Brandon Cooks. And Michael Gallup, he's just not that good. But I think Ferguson is their second best pass catcher on that team. I feel like they should use him more as far as getting first downs and things like that. I think he'll be great. I think he could truly fill the Dalton Schultz role that Dalton Schultz was holding down for the last 2-3 years. And now I want to talk about Dak. The reason why I want to talk about Dak is because Dak, first of all, I hate that the media and people try to make it sound like Dak played a fabulous game. He played a really good football game. A really good football game. I thought he was very, very good, but he was not great. Let's stop throwing around the word great. I hate throwing it around. He is great compared to what you expected in that game. That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. He played at a level 9 when you was expecting him to give you a level 7. He was not an 11 out of 10. He was a 9, 8, 9 out of 10. You were just expecting a 6 or 7. That's what you were expecting. That's why you feel like he played great. And I refuse to say a quarterback played great when he left plays on that field. He left plays on that field that could have dramatically changed that game. Maybe even won the game. When you step out of bounds on the 2-point conversion play, you could have won. You could have had an opportunity to tie the game and go into overtime and have an opportunity to win. Scores 23-28. He gets a 2-point conversion. It would have been 25-28. You showed that you got down in field goal range. Kick a field goal 28-28. You may have got the ball at overtime. Just a quick breakdown of why I'm saying that. But the reason why that you did not get it was because you took a bad angle and you ran out of real estate really, really fast, and you had to cut up. You should have cut up earlier. Yes, I know Brandon Graham would have been closer to getting you, but the thing is you didn't have a choice. If you would have cut up earlier and then dove, you're tall enough that I think that he still would have got that. He still would have got that. Because Brandon Graham would not have got there. He was not that fast. It would have been a little closer. It would have been a little bit more scary. But that would have been the only way that you had. The only opportunity that you had. Now, I'm not going to nitpick that one too much because, like, bro, he stepped out by, like, this much. So, like, it wasn't like he just made this awful decision. But the one decision I will say where I will say he lost the game. A lot of people's going to bring up the sack. I'm not jumping on about the sack. If you really watch the play, his progressions was to look this way first. Still got whooped on this side. So, when he came back through his progressions, I mean, this guy was right here in front of him. Bro, it's hard to throw the ball out of bounds at that point. So I'm not going to jump on him very hard about that. Of course, it would have been nice if he did, but I'm not going to jump on him hard about that. Real quick, just to finish this out, Mike McCarthy, terrible play calling. You should have told him to spike it. You do not throw that ball in the back of the end zone, waste all that clock. And then they threw the pass to CeeDee Lamb that was inside the field of play, not even in the end zone. I could kind of understand that, but it still was stupid. I kind of understand because you gave it to your big playmaker, hoping that maybe if he makes one guy miss, he may fall into the end zone. At least get the pass completed, and let's see what happens next. That's the route they chose to take. Like I said, I can understand what you did. I just wouldn't did it. But where Dak really lost the game was the drive before. The drive before, it was 4th down, and I think 8, I believe. And I'm going to show the picture of what I'm talking about. It was 1 minute and 20 seconds left. They still had timeouts, and he was so laser focused on throwing that ball to, I want to say it was Tolbert. Not even your second wide receiver, not even your third wide receiver. Not CeeDee, not Ferguson, not Cooks, not Gallup. Tolbert. You try to throw the ball to Tolbert on a one-on-one situation with the game on the line when Ferguson was wide open in the middle. You missed that. That's on you. You misread. You misjudged the defense. That's what happened on that play. And that's why I say Dak lost that game. Because if you convert that, I'm telling you, you guys saw the picture. Ferguson would have got that first down and would have got a little bit more. And now you got like 2 or 3 timeouts I believe they would have had. I want to say 3. You would have 3 timeouts, a minute and 10 seconds left of play. Bro, you would have got down there for a real opportunity to score a touchdown without rushing. That's why I say Dak lost the game. Going to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, he played a really good football game in my opinion. It just wasn't flashy. Once again, kind of like what I talked about with Dak, our expectations with Jalen Hurts are so high that when he's not hitting at that high of a level, we are just trying to, like, we're kind of acting like he's just not playing well. Now, he's playing actually really good from the pocket, really well from the pocket. The issue is just that the RPO game is non-existent. And the reason why it's non-existent is because he's not healthy. The run-pass option doesn't work if he's not a running option. Because their situation is actually like a RPRO. Like RPRO. It's a run, pass, or run. That's what it is. It's because their first handoff is a run, it's a read option. That's what it is. It's just all happening in the same direction. So Jalen Hurts gets to look right here, and he can hand the ball off here, going from this way to this way. If he's looking here, he's looking at this defensive end. He get to hand the ball off here, and if he does not like what that defensive end is showing, he can see behind that defensive end A.J. Brown coming across the middle. If he doesn't like that, I keep it and I'll just run this way. Like, he has 3 options. The issue is that that third option is not there. So now he's being forced to either hand it off or throw that pass. And the league is used to the RPOs. What made them special was that he had that additional thing that he could do. That's what made theirs a whole lot harder to defend. And without that, their offense does not look the same. And because their offense because that play not being very well executed now, the offensive line is being tested more than ever. I cannot call them the best offensive line in football, but they are still a top 5 offensive line, but they can be beat, as we saw from the Dallas Cowboys and honestly other teams during this football season, the Washington Commanders. Like, we've seen these guys get beat, and it's because Jalen Hurts can't really move. He can't really move as efficiently as he was able to move before. Not as quick. He's losing his lateral quickness week by week because that knee is killing him. That knee is killing him. But, hey, they're still winning games, so that's the crazy part about it. The offense is still prolific, and they're still winning games. When they got to score 35, they can score 35. But it's just that it's not as sexy as it once was. The defensive line is playing really good. The issue is the secondary. And the issue is not the players of the secondary, though. The issue is that they don't know what they need to be doing. They don't know if they are a better zone team or a better man-to-man team. I personally think they should be playing man-to-man. Bradbury is a very physical corner. Darius Slay, obviously big play Slay, he's man-to-man corner. And now when you got guys like Bird behind you and Blankenship to be able to run like cover 1s and cover 2s on the back end. Like, I'm cool with Bird coming down into the box and man up and in the slot and just have Blankenship run the back end. Like, I think that they should be doing man, but they did a lot of zone, and that's why CeeDee Lamb did what he did. Whenever they put Darius Slay straight up on CeeDee Lamb, CeeDee Lamb did not get open the way that he was. But when he was getting open, they moved him in the slot. And whenever he was in the slot, that's when they ran a zone defense. That's what happened. And CeeDee Lamb, first of all, is best in the slot in the first place. That's his true position. I think in the offense is the slot. That's where he performs the best. And I do not think that they do well in the zone. So I think they need to focus on man, focus on just sending pressure, trying to create sacks. That's what I think they should focus on. I think guys like Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, BG, talking about Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, I think those guys can force enough turnovers and fumbles. If you just send one more body there, can't nobody block any of those guys one-on-one. Hassan Reddick as well. But this game came down to, honestly, the Eagles just a better football team. They're better at every aspect, I believe. And that's it. They're the better team. The only thing that can change this game is coaching. That's the only thing that could change. So this loss, I would not actually say is on Dak. It's not on Dak at all. It's on the entire team. The Dallas Cowboys, if everybody kicks it up a notch, they win the game. It's that plain and simple. But when I was talking about Dak losing the game, I was talking about just like he had moments where he could have won. So I can't say it was a great game and he failed at those moments. But, bro, that's our review of our Week 9 games. Like I said, sorry it took so long, bro. This was just a tremendous week. But, remember, we about to go slide right into our top 3 performances of the week because I know we're running long and I still got to give you our team grades. We're going to kind of fly through the team grades. But our top of three performances, and the reason why we got 3 is because I'm not forcing nobody up here. My criteria is, first of all, you have to win your game to even be on the list. And like I said, I'm not forcing up guys just to force up top 5. No, these guys I actually think play fantastic this week. And I was actually impressed. Number 1 is CJ Stroud. Obviously, bro, he's a rookie. He went out there. He threw for 400 plus yards and 5 touchdowns. What more can you say? And led it the game winning drive with 40 seconds left. The boy was fantastic, bro. Put the ball in places that was tough, and he made plays when plays had to be made. Big-time players make big-time plays. That's going to be our main saying on this podcast. Big-time players. They make big-time plays. Moving on to number 2, Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs, man, he balled out, man, for you to show up and don't have any practice time, don't even know your guys like that. He does not have a number 1 wide receiver. Shoot, actually, the number 1 wide receiver actually got hurt in Osborne. So, I mean, for you to be out there with just Addison as your only really go-to wide receiver and TJ Hawkinson, and then Cam Akers actually also tore his Achilles in this game again. Prayers up to him. But, bro, for you to come in, short week, just got to Minnesota, for you to come in and lead a game-winning drive, bro, man, that's fantastic, bro. That's fantastic, man. Hey, kudos to you. I'm sorry, not game-winning drive, but win the game. Kudos to you, bro. You played fantastic. And the third team is actually just the Baltimore Ravens as a unit. And the reason why I want to say them as a unit, bro, for you to go out there and just dominate that game. Just went out there and dominated that game. Hey, bro, kudos to you guys. So, man, now we're going to get to our team grades. And there are going to be some teams that we talk a lot on, some teams that we don't talk much on at all. And our team grades, what we're going to be basing this on is just the expectations going into the year. And the expectations do change. They do change based on injuries, trades, acquired players that got let go. Things can change. But basically, we're going off of what we expected at the preseason. So, I mean, there are some teams that may not be as high, but it's because that we thought they would be better than what they are, and so on and so forth. So the Arizona Cardinals, man, first of all, I give them a D. The reason why I give them a D instead of an F is because I like how hard they play. They play hard. They're just not that good, but they play hard. They're living up to their expectation of not being a good football team, so I'm not going to give them anything better than that. But they are playing hard and playing good football. I don't mind watching the Arizona Cardinals play because I know they're going to run out there. They're going to hit. They're just not that good. Moving on to the next team is the Carolina Panthers. They're getting an F. They're getting a straight up F from me. That's a bad football team that you guys see out there. The only 2 guys worth watching out there is Brian Burns and a 80-year-old wide receiver Adam Thielen. And it's only because I'm surprised the man's still walking. Like, bro, that team is terrible. Bryce Young is not progressing at all. I personally think they should bench him and go Andy Dalton. Stop getting this man hurt. Stop getting this man hit. You're going to mess around and get him hurt. You do not want that to happen, especially when you traded up and gave up everything that you gave up to get him. Moving on to the next team is Chicago Bears. They also receive an F. They receive an F because you never was using Justin Fields correctly anyway. You acquired DJ Moore and you do not use him. Your run game is awful. There's not a positive aspect of this team at all to me, and that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign, especially the year that Justin Fields was coming off of. You guys should have been able to build on that, and you didn't build on that at all. Moving on to the next team is the New York Giants. I'm giving them a D-. I really want to give them an F because the offense, really because of the contract situation. Your offense is bad because you signed Daniel Jones to that crazy contract that he did not deserve. It actually wasn't that crazy, but I just think that he's barely worth $1. And then on top of that, you did not sign Saquon long term. Your offensive line is terrible. Like, you did nothing. You brought in Darren Waller. You traded something. You said this is going to be our second best offensive player, a player that hasn't played in 2 years because of hamstring issues. Oh, my gosh, he got hamstring injuries again. We're shocked. Come on now, bro. That's just bad. That's bad GMing. Bad GMing. Like, it's time for him to get fired. I don't know who the GM is, but, like, bro, that's not good. It's not good shape there. And the only reason why you're not getting the F is because I do like the defense. The defense plays hard. They play good football. I like what this building. I like what you're doing there. That's the only reason why I will not give you an F. Moving on to the next team is the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams, I'm giving them a C-. I'm giving them a C- because they're performing better than what I thought they were, but I can't give them quite a C because they have blue games that I think they should have won. And with that being the case, I do like how Matt Stafford's playing, but unfortunately he just got hurt as well. And I do like that Cooper Kupp looks like he's still got game. And I love what Puka Nacua is doing. I love what Puka Nacua is doing, and Aaron Donald is still a dog. Like there are bright spots on that team. It's just that the team is not actually very good. So I can't quite give you a C or a B or anything like that. But I don't want to give you a D because there are aspects that you are doing well. Moving on to the next team is the Green Bay Packers. I'm giving them a D. I'm giving them a D because you guys were wrong about Jordan Love. Just that plain and simple. You're wrong about Jordan Love. You're also getting a D because your defense is terrible. You invested all that into that defense, and the defense is not a good defense. It reminds me a lot of the New Orleans Saints. How do you got all these names, all these guys, and like you guys are not a really good defense? You guys are wasting what you have. Moving on to the next team, we're going to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm giving them a C. They are an average team to me, and they were supposed to be below average. Baker Mayfield is playing good football, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are also playing really good. Mike Evans is showing that he's still great. He's still elite. And the defense is playing good football as well. The only issue with the defense is that they did a lot of zone. They do a lot of zone, and that's why C.J. Stroud ate them alive last week. He's too good for that. But I can't give them anything higher than that because, one, their record does not say they should be anything higher than that, and their offensive line is garbage. But I give them a solid C. I like what they're doing. I like what they're building. They're not spending a lot of money. They're going to get some money opens up, and they have their draft picks. So they'll be able to build out this roster a little bit. Keep Baker Mayfield unless you could get like a crazy draft prospect. Moving on to the next team, we're going to go to the Atlanta Falcons. I give you a C. I give you a C because so going to the year, I was saying that you guys probably be a 7-10, 8-9 football team. Once we got to probably about week 4 or 5, I was like, oh, shoot, y'all can win this division because of how bad the New Orleans Saints was playing. And the reason why you're getting a C is because you guys are not playing well enough to overtake them. And that's a problem. And the reason why you guys aren't playing well enough to take them is because, honestly, you're not using your unique players. You're not using them at all. You're not using your stars. I simply think that if you just use your stars, then that their talent by themselves and how hard you guys play will overtake those couple wins that you need. So I'm giving you a C because I don't want to put you out yet, but I can't put you in there yet. Moving on to the next team, and we're going to go to the Washington Commanders. So I'm also going to give them a C. They played solid football so far. They've impressed in a few games, but they're just not that good. They're not that good, so they're floating around a C, C minus. But I'm going to give them a C. I'm going to give them a C. And Sam Howell, he reminds me actually of Baker Mayfield. I think both of them are like very similar quarterbacks. And he's showing what he could do when you give him a Josh Dotson, a Terry McLaurin, and guys of that nature. Moving on to the next team, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. I'm giving them a C+ because they are overperforming, in my opinion. And right now, they are on the verge of making the playoffs. They're trying to get there. And we'll see if they get there. I do not think they will, especially now that Kirk Cousins went down. But, man, it's nice to see how hard they play and nice to see that they're not giving up on the season. Moving on to the real teams, in my opinion, the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, I'm giving them a B. They're a B. They're a B because you can't lose both games to the 49ers and the Eagles and have the Cardinals loss on your resume. So that's why you're a B. You're a B because of that. But being a B, I do think that you are a contender. You are a contender. There are great spots of your teams. I actually do think you guys will beat the Eagles in Dallas. It just hasn't happened yet this year. But, I mean, yeah, you're a B. You're a B. You're a good football team. I just can't quite say that you're a Super Bowl team yet. You got to show me a little bit more. Moving on to the next team is the New Orleans Saints, and I'm giving them a C. I'm giving them a C because they have not performed to the level that I think they are. But that defense gets to where it could be. That's why I think New Orleans Saints could mess around and become a scary playoff team to go against. But right now they're a C. Their defense is not living up to the hype. And I have some issues with the offense, specific with the big playmaking. How is Chris Olave not as involved? I do not understand. That's your star player. Get him the football. I do love what Alvin Kamara is doing, though. And Taysom Hill, hey, he's balling. He's balling for real. Moving on to the next team, we talk about San Francisco 49ers. I'm still going to give them a B. Yes, they lost 3 straight games, 3 bad losses in my opinion. But I do think that they could get things back on track. They'd have had some guys hurt, but they are still one of the best well-built football teams on as a roster in the NFL. And teams that we've seen them play against, like the Dallas Cowboys, like the Philadelphia Eagles in last year's playoff game, like those guys, they hang in there tough. They hang in there tough or they win handily. So, I mean, I can't take too much away from them yet. So, we're going to give them a B because their roster construction is very good and they just added Chase Young. Moving on to the next team is the Detroit Lions. They are also a B. And they're a B, and I cannot call them an A because of the fact that the way that you got whooped by the Baltimore Ravens. When y'all went against a real football team, you got your ass kicked. So I cannot put you as an A, but man, respect to your season, respect to what you're doing. Keep fighting, keep doing what you're doing, and you guys will be a deep playoff team. You guys will make it to at least the second round. You guys might get to the conference finals, the NFC final, but I do not see you beating none of these three teams, the Eagles, 49ers, or the Cowboys. Moving on to the final team is the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm giving them an A. The offense does not look as fluid as it looked last year. The defense doesn't look as fluid as it looked last year. But, hey, the bro, these dudes still got only one loss. Yeah, okay, so what? They went from being a top 1 offense and a top 1 defense down to top 5 and top 5. They're still great. They're still great. So that's my order. That's my grades for the NFC teams right now. And just for FYI, the reason why they're in the order that they're in when I'm saying listing out these teams is simply because this is the order that they're in from worst to best as far as the standings go right now. That's why, like, when I talked about the Cowboys being a B and the Saints being a C, that's why I talked about the Saints after them, because right now they have a higher seeding in the playoffs than the Dallas Cowboys. Moving on to the AFC. First thing we're going to talk about is the New England Patriots. They get a straight up F for me. Bill Belichick, it's time for him to go. The defense is playing average, and the offense is absolutely garbage and does not have any clue what they're doing. I'm not wasting no more time talking about them. Moving on to the next team is the Denver Broncos. I'm giving them a D-. The defense is not performing as well as they should have been. The offense is garbage. How do you have a special offensive coach and your offense is still trash? Makes no sense to me. D-. Moving on to the next team is the Tennessee Titans. I'm giving them a D. And the reason why I'm giving them a D is because they got a little bit of hope now with Will Levis, but I'm giving them a D also because, like, they should have been better than what they are. They should have been better than what they are. I'm not saying they should have been great, but you're not performing. They should have been a C, and I cannot give you a C grade because you're not playing good football at all. But with Will Levis, we'll see how that goes. Moving on now to the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm giving them a D+. The reason why I'm not giving them a straight up D is because, like, somehow, bro, these dudes are like 4-5, I believe. Like, they are almost 500, and they had a terrible coach, fired their head coach, terrible quarterback play, inconsistent quarterback play. All these issues, and somehow they're still almost 500. I can't give you a C, but you're really close to it. Moving on to the next team is the Indianapolis Colts. I'm giving them a C-. They're playing very good football, and the way Anthony Richardson was playing, I got respect for him. And then also, like, the way that they end up getting the Jonathan Taylor situation handled. Hey, they're on the uptick. I just do not think their team is good enough this year. That's all it is. I just think it's a growing year for them. Nothing bad. They ain't doing nothing crazy at all. It just takes time. It takes time to build a real playoff team. It takes some time. Moving on to the next team is the New York Jets. I'm giving them a C. The reason why I'm giving them a C is, man, for you guys to be 500 with Aaron Rodgers going down week 1 of the season and Zach Wilson playing the way that he is. Bro, people are saying Zach Wilson playing good football because my man threw 1 touchdown 2-3 weeks. That's how bad your quarterback play is. That's how bad it is. The defense is winning these games, bro. I got to give y'all a little bit of love as a defense and the coaching staff. So you get a C. Moving on to the next team, the Los Angeles Chargers. I give them a C-. The reason why I give them a C- is because they got lucky in like 2 of these games that they have dubs in. Like, very lucky that they won those games because Brandon Staley lost those games. He lost them games. They got lucky. But I give them a C- because they're not performing as well as the roster says that they should, as well as the offense says they should, as good as the coaching staff said they should. Nothing is actually happening that's any better than the last season or any years before that. So I cannot give them too much. I'm actually disappointed in what I'm seeing in them. I went into this year. Actually, I didn't. But if you look on paper, going into this year, you would have been like, this might be the year that the Chargers get the Kansas City Chiefs. And they are so far behind the Chiefs. So far behind the Chiefs. I can't give you that much love. Moving on to the next team is the Houston Texans. Houston Texans, bro, they get a C+ from me because the young guys are growing. They're playing good football. They're flying, and the offense is playing great. Man, the offense, I'm sorry, I take back the word great. I use that loosely. I talked about that. The offense is playing well. The reason why I say well is because the run game is still non-existent. You got to get some type of run game going. But I do like what I'm seeing for C.J. Stroud. I love what I'm seeing from him, and the wide receivers and the offensive pass protection from the offensive line has been solid. Moving on to the next team is the Buffalo Bills. They're getting a C+. They're getting a C+ because they still are an above-average football team. And unfortunately, due to injuries, they have fallen to this point. But they're getting a C+ because, I mean, right now, bro, they're not in the playoffs, believe it or not. They're not even in the playoffs. So I can't give you a B. I damn sure can't give you an A. Moving on to the next team is the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm giving them a B+. Right now, they're on the uptick. They're on the uptick. And right now, I actually think they're the third best team in football right now, in my opinion. So I give them a B+. Moving on to the next team is the Cleveland Browns. I'm giving them a B-. The reason why I give them a B- is simply because of their quarterback play. The quarterback play is awful, so I cannot give you a B, and I definitely can't give you an A. I do not depend on the Deshaun Watson winning any real football game. And we're about to start finding that out here soon because he's about to start going through the gauntlet of the AFC North, starting off with the Baltimore Ravens this upcoming week. Moving on to the next game is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm giving them a B-. Now, I really want to give them a D, but they're winning games, bro. They're in the playoffs right now, so I got to give them at least a B for being in the playoff picture. So they're getting a B-. I have nothing positive to say about this team. I don't really want to talk about negative because somehow they're winning games. Moving on to the next team is the Miami Dolphins. I'm giving you a B. I'm giving them a B because, even though they have not won big games, they're in them. They're in them. So it's just a matter of, getting over that hump. That's all it is. You got to get over that hump. So I'm going to give them a B. But Tua, you got to get a little better. You got to take that next step. And you got it in you. You just got to take that next step. The Jacksonville Jaguars is our next team. I'm also giving them a B. They haven't showcased beating major teams yet, but I like the grit and the heart of that football team. Moving on to the next team is the Baltimore Ravens. I'm giving them an A. They are getting an A. Those boys are playing fantastic. They're flying around. They are by far the best team in football, in my opinion. I have literally only negative thing I got to say is Lamar, you got to take care of the ball a little better, but that's all I got to say. And then the final team we're going to talk about is the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm giving them an A-. I'm giving them an A- because, you are winning games. So kind of like the Eagles, you got to give them some love for that. And they are the number one team in the conference, but I do not like what I'm seeing from the offense. But I do believe the offense will get better as time goes on. Remember last year, the Chiefs' defensive secondary was all rookies and one-year football players. But come playoff time, those guys got that experience. They had the talent in that room that now here they are, and now they're balling out in the playoffs, and now they're balling out this season right now. I'm telling you guys, not as just a Kansas City Chiefs fan, as a football fan, Kadarius Toney, he got game. He got game. You just got to get his mind right. Sky Moore, I'm not too fond of Sky Moore. Mecole Hardman, he has a very specific role as a gadget guy. He serves a role. Valdez Scantling, he serves a role. Justin Watson serves. They got all the roles and pieces. It just has to come together. That's all that is for them. So, but the tackles, that's the biggest issue for the Kansas City Chiefs. Those tackles got to hold up, or they got to play better. They didn't do too bad last week, but they got to do better than what they've done so far all season. But those are our grades so far for this NFL season. I can't wait for the second half of the season so we get to the playoff time. Crazy thing, we're already halfway through the year. Moving on to our final segment, our top 5 football teams. And we're going to do this real quick because we just got done talking about all the great things of these teams. Number one team in the league to me is the Baltimore Ravens. I got their number 1. Number 2 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 3 is the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 4 is the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm cheating a little bit for number 5. Number 5 is either the Dolphins or the Lions. I don't care which one you put there. I even went as far as to look at their schedules, look at the games that they won. And bro, honestly, they both haven't beat good teams. And the two good teams that they played against, they lost. Yeah, I know a lot of you gonna say, well, the Lions beat the Chiefs. No, they didn't, bro. The Chiefs didn't have Chris Jones. They did not have Amenahu, the defensive end, their star defensive end. They did not have Travis Kelce. They did not beat the Chiefs, and they only won by 1 point. Now, if they would have blew the Chiefs out, I'd give you that. But bro, they only won by 1 point. They won a game. That's all that was. They won a game. But the Dolphins don't have no quality wins. To me, the Lions don't have any quality wins either. And when they played against those real teams, they got whooped. They got beat down. So, man, that's all I got to say for those two teams. So I'm kind of cheating. I don't care which one you pick. I probably actually roll with the Dolphins at 5 instead of the Lions. Bro, that's the end of our episode. Thanks for joining me this week. I appreciate all you guys coming to holler out and kick it with your boy. Hey, please hit me up in the comment box. I would love to interact with you guys. Hey, hopefully you guys are following me on Facebook and TikTok. I got a Twitter as well, but I really plan on using Facebook and TikTok this weekend to really start getting the social feeds going. So please pay attention to those things. I will be commenting about the games that they take place during the weekend. But thank you guys for following me. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Let's get these subscribes up so we can continue doing this thing. I love doing it. I love hanging out with you guys. Hey, all you guys, take care of yourselves. Pray for all your loved ones, but most importantly, pray for your enemies, and make sure that your mental health is the first thing that you're taking care of. Hey, this is Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Peace.